You're not anxious. You're accelerating. Your nervous system isn't malfunctioning. It's translating. It's not panic. It's momentum, trying to move through an identity that's still clinging to the past. Breathe into this. What you call anxiety might actually be the residue of a reality your body is no longer in alignment with. It's not that something's wrong. It's that something no longer fits. And your field knows it before your mind can name it. Because energy moves first, then the mind scrambles to make sense of the shift. The ache in your chest, the flutter in your gut, they're not flaws. They're frequency fractures, signals from a body catching glimpses of a future timeline. Before the story of you is caught up, you are not broken. You are breaking open. Pause. Breathe that in. What if this discomfort is sacred? What if it's not a symptom to fix, but a signal to honor? Most people try to calm the body before they listen to what it's saying. But what if your nervous system is the messenger of quantum expansion? What if your body is the bridge between dimensions of identity you haven't yet stepped into? This isn't anxiety. It's acceleration. This isn't a malfunction. It's a metaphysical adjustment. And the deeper you listen, the clearer it becomes. Your next level isn't coming. It's already humming underneath your skin. But what exactly are you accelerating into? The soul moves first, and the body follows slowly. You make a silent decision. You release an old belief. You feel a truth so deep it cracks your story in half. And just like that, your vibration shifts. But your nervous system doesn't always get the memo right away, because the mind runs on memory, and memory runs on familiarity. So even when you've jumped timelines internally, when your energy says yes to a new dimension of self, your subconscious still walks the terrain of the old one. This is what creates the fog, the disorientation, the strange ache in your chest. Not because you're lost, but because the internal GPS is still recalibrating. This isn't anxiety. It's identity lag. You're not regressing. You're just learning to breathe in a space your mind hasn't mapped yet. You didn't fall back. You quantum leapt. And now the echoes of the old are dissolving. In real time, that flutter in your stomach, it's not fear of what's coming. It's your system grieving what you've already outgrown. The nervous system doesn't fear the unknown. It fears the unfamiliar, the new resonance, the absence of old pain, the silence that comes after the inner war ends. So when it feels loud inside, when it feels tight, don't collapse into the noise. Recognize it as recalibration, because you're not breaking down. You're repatterning at the speed of light. But if your body is reacting, what is it reacting to? This isn't fear. This is farewell. What you're feeling is the death rattle of a version of you that no longer fits the frequency of your becoming. When you shift timelines, you're not just imagining a new future. You're shedding the electromagnetic signature of a self you've already outgrown. And that isn't always graceful. It's rarely quiet. It can feel like chaos inside a cocoon because the body remembers. It holds the chemistry of your old patterns. And now, those patterns are collapsing. The cortisol spikes, the pounding heart, the sudden exhaustion followed by adrenaline surges. Not warning signs, detox signals. The field is clearing debris. The nervous system is releasing the bioelectrical imprint of everything you once had to be just to survive. You're not breaking. You're composting. And compost is never pretty, but it is holy. Let yourself grieve the certainty. Let the ego mourn the map it once used. To feel safe inside a world built on control. You're not meant to bounce back. You're meant to dissolve and then emerge. The old signal is fading. Let fade. Let fade from your thoughts, from your heartbeat, from your habits. Let fade like a song that once defined you, but no longer moves you. This is sacred exit, sacred shedding, sacred silence. And the quieter it gets inside, the more room you make for what's truly yours. The body always knows first, before you understand, before you name it, before your mind can catch the shift. Your body is already speaking, through breath, through pulse, through sensation that makes no logical sense, but feels undeniably real. Because the body doesn't lie. It doesn't wait for permission. It doesn't consult your calendar or your coping strategies. It broadcasts. When a new timeline comes online, your physiology becomes the first responder. Disrupted sleep, sudden food aversions, memory lapses, emotional flashes that seem to come from nowhere, a wave of exhaustion in the middle of a joy, a surge of clarity in the middle of a breakdown. These are not malfunctions. They are metaphysical translations. You're not losing it. You're retuning, like a radio tower adjusting its dial. Every cell in your being is learning how to carry a clearer signal. This is the nervous system, rewriting the script it once used to keep you safe. And safety now means something different. Safety now means coherence, not control. When your body speaks, alignment in strange tongues. Don't dismiss it. Don't numb it. Revere it. It is the sacred translator between the timelines. It speaks in chemistry, in sensation, in rhythm. You're not broken. You're buffering. And every pause is part of the recalibration. But here's the hidden layer almost no one speaks about. Every timeline carries not just potential, but responsibility. And your body knows that. So does your subconscious. Because buried inside your being is a protector, a loyal inner guardian, who only ever wanted to keep you safe. And when you leap into a new timeline, when your frequency expands into unfamiliar terrain, that protector doesn't celebrate. It flinches. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because part of you still remembers what it cost to open your heart the last time, what it felt like to trust and fall, to hope and hurt. You're not just upgrading realities. You're brushing up against every wound that taught your nervous system to stay small, to stay safe. This isn't sabotage. This is loyalty. The body clings to the known because it believes the known is survivable. So it calls up the fog, the tension, the static, the ache, not to punish you, but to protect you from stepping into a future. It hasn't yet learned how to feel safe inside. Your anxiety might just be a loyal gatekeeper, resisting the new frequency because it still associates change with pain. This isn't dysfunction. This is trauma memory. But hear this. Your protector doesn't need to be silenced. It needs to be updated. It needs to be shown, gently, repeatedly, that this new reality is not a threat. It's a return. There's a space between no longer and not yet, where the old no longer fits, but the new hasn't landed, where everything familiar dissolves, and nothing solid rises to take its place. This is the void, not a punishment, but a pause, not a failure, but a field of re-architecture. And yet, most people call this depression, confusion, lack of clarity. But what if it's not the absence of direction? What if it's the collapse of coherence? You're not lost. You are being retuned, like a tuning fork, whose old tone has stopped ringing, but whose new note hasn't stabilized yet. This is sacred space, the moment before music, the breath before birth. And yes, it's uncomfortable, because the nervous system has no template for this stillness. The protector self-panics. The mind scrambles. The identity looks for something to cling to. But you're not here to retreat. You're here to stretch, to expand. Your outer world may look still because your inner architecture is being rewritten to hold a higher frequency. This isn't regression. It's resonance realignment. Let the old tone fade. Let the silence linger. Because the new note, it's already humming beneath the noise. This is the turning point. Not when life gets easier, but when your signal gets clearer. The quantum field doesn't respond to your wishes. It responds to your wiring, to the signal your body broadcasts. Beneath your words, beneath your vision boards, beneath your affirmations. You're not being ignored. You're being mirrored. When your signal is frazzled, fragmented, fear-based, the field reflects that back, not as punishment, but as precision. Because energy doesn't lie, and the universe isn't random. It's relational, which means your nervous system isn't just how you survive the day. It's how you shape the timeline. Regulation is not a luxury. It's a command, a frequency the field can finally recognize as safe, coherent, aligned. This is where everything begins to change. Not because you push harder, but because you hold clearer. You're not just a person experiencing anxiety. You're a tuning fork, learning how to stabilize signal in the middle of noise. The calm you crave? It's not a reward for fixing everything. It's the source code that starts everything. Pause. Let that land. You don't need to figure it out. You need to regulate in. Because when your field becomes coherent, reality begins to harmonize. So how do we begin to regulate? in the middle of the storm? This is where understanding becomes embodiment, where concept becomes choice, where the ritual begins. Regulation isn't a coping mechanism. It's quantum technology, a way of aligning your biology with the timeline you've already chosen. Because your breath, it's not just oxygen, it's signal. Every slow exhale, every hum in your chest, every hand resting over your heart. These are not small things. They're transmissions. They say to the field, I'm safe here. I can hold this. I am tuned. The old paradigm says transformation must be dramatic, loud, explosive, but real shift is in the tone of your voice, the softness of your gaze, the rhythm of your breath. Stability is not stagnation. It's signal clarity. It's the frequency that tells the quantum field, you are no longer chasing reality. You're broadcasting it. And from this place, you don't force timelines to arrive. You meet them because your signal becomes the match. So let regulation be your ritual, not just when things fall apart, but as a sacred daily calibration. This is how you become the version of you your soul already chose. But this brings us to the quantum layer. Almost everyone skips. Here's the truth almost no one tells you. You don't manifest what you want. You manifest what your nervous system feels safe to hold. Timelines are not chosen with your thoughts. They're selected through felt frequency. This is why you could dream bigger, affirm louder, visualize harder, and still feel stuck. Because the quantum field doesn't respond to mental scripts. It responds to resonance, to the frequency you live in, not just the one you wish for. Desire isn't the problem. Safety is. If the version of you you're calling in feels unfamiliar to your body, it will be resisted. Not because you're broken, but because your system is wired to repeat what it knows how to survive. This is not your fault. It's your frequency match. Breathe that in. Not to blame, but to liberate. You're not failing to align. You're learning to refamiliarize your body with what expansion actually feels like. The timeline isn't waiting to be earned. It's waiting to be embodied. This is the quantum selection process, a dance between identity, emotion, and embodied permission. Your next level isn't an achievement. It's a signal you learn to hold without flinching. So release the guilt, release the shame, release the story that says, you're not high vibe enough. It was never about performance. It was always about permission. And now, you're learning to grant it. Sometimes alignment doesn't look like clarity. It looks like collapse. You're not broken. You're just being emptied of everything that can't travel with you. Timeline shifts have a cost. Not because you're being punished, but because certain versions of you aren't coded to exist in the frequency you're stepping into. So they fall away. Jobs, friendships, identities you spent years building, dreams that once felt sacred, gone, or fading, or resisting as they go. And it hurts, not because you're off track, but because you're on it. You're not falling apart. You're falling forward. Grief is not proof you've lost your way. It's evidence that density is dissolving. So lightness can arrive. The nervous system will try to cling, to salvage the familiar, to patch the old life back together with habits and hopes that once made sense. But surrender is the deeper signal. You don't have to like the unraveling, but you can trust it because the symptoms, they're not errors. They're exits. And the ache, it's not the end. It's the cocoon dissolving, so wings can form. So if it looks like you're losing everything, maybe you're finally releasing what was never truly yours. And yet, what if nothing is missing at all? Nothing is missing. Not the dream, not the love, not the life you feel in your bones. It's not gone. It's just orbiting, waiting for a clear enough signal to land. Your desires have not abandoned you. They're attuned to your becoming. The field doesn't delay to punish. It calibrates to deliver. Because manifestation isn't magic. It's matchmaking. And the field, it listens not to your effort, but to your frequency. So instead of chasing, what if you started tuning? Instead of reaching, what if you started receiving? This is the shift, the soft pivot from force to feel. Your nervous system is not just an alarm system. It's a broadcast tower. Every breath, every sensation, every felt emotion is either a contraction or a calling in. There's no in between. So when you feel the ache, pause, breathe, and listen not for what's absent, but for what you're now able to hold. Because you're not chasing what you lack. You're becoming who can contain it. The signal is stabilizing. The field is listening. And your timeline? It's not far. It's familiar. It's just waiting for the you, who finally feels like home to it. You're not stuck. You're streaming. You're not waiting. You're transmitting. Every breath you take, every word you whisper under your own skin, every thought you entertain when no one is watching. It all speaks. It all signals. You are a quantum beacon. Your body, your posture, your tone of voice. They're not passive. They are pulsing codes. They're the language of your timeline. Isn't a block. Calling itself. It's a broadcast, a signal searching for clarity. So the question is no longer, why isn't it happening? The question becomes, what am I echoing? Because life doesn't respond to what you say you want. It responds to what you continuously signal. So choose what you want to echo. With your breath, with your presence, with your self-talk, with your stillness. You're not fragile. You are sovereign. This isn't about managing your life. It's about magnetizing it, not through force, but through frequency. The shift isn't something you wait for. The shift is something you become. And in this moment, you're becoming it. So what does it feel like when your new timeline finally arrives? When it finally arrives, it won't feel like fireworks. It'll feel like home. Because the new timeline isn't meant to shock you. It's meant to soothe you. What you've been calling in, the partner, the path, the place, won't feel like a sudden miracle. It will feel like a quiet yes. You've heard in your heart for years. This is the paradox no one talks about. When the shift finally lands, there's no anxiety, no rush, no edge, just resonance. Because the nervous system doesn't need a brace anymore. It recognizes the signal. It allows what it once feared. Coherence doesn't come with a bang. It arrives with a breath. And that peace you've been chasing, it was never outside you. It was waiting for your field to stabilize enough, to hold it without resistance. The truth is, you've met this timeline before, in your dreams, in your longings, in the quiet spaces between breakdowns. So when it comes, you won't be surprised. You'll be remembered. The new timeline doesn't announce itself. It integrates. Softly, subtly, sacredly. And you won't feel high. You'll feel here. This is the landing, not a climax, but a return. Because your future didn't come out of nowhere. It came from you. Coherent, calm, ready. This week, don't chase clarity. Regulate. Don't force decisions. Tune your signal. Because the timeline you're calling in isn't hidden. It's matching. There is no goal to reach, only a frequency to live from. So before the to-do lists, before the fixing, the planning, the overthinking, return here, right now. Place one hand on your heart. Feel that rhythm. It's ancient, and it's listening. Take one slow breath, in through the nose, out through the mouth, and whisper to yourself, not loud, not performative, but true. I am safe to receive this version of me. Let that settle. Let that signal echo through your cells. Let that breath do more than calm you. Let call you in. The future isn't found. It's felt into. It's tuned like an instrument, not hunted like a prize. You're not waiting. You're transmitting. And everything you're meant for is already scanning for a coherent match. So don't underestimate the ritual of stillness, of self-attunement, of showing up not as the seeker, but as the signal. This is how it begins. This is how it stabilizes. This is how you become. In the comments, share one word that reflects the frequency you're becoming. Stillness, power, receptivity, expansion. It's all here, already in signal, already in motion.